welcome back to Dance Geek. Today I've got a technique video for you. Now, as you can see, I have injured my pinky finger, which, look, it doesn't really affect a lot of your dancing, but that movement hurts. So this inspired me to do something completely not upper body hand related, which means we're doing feet. As an adjudicator, feet is something that just irks me. I will often put on your reports, take care to neaten and strengthen the footwork in connecting steps. An easy way of saying this is stretch your feet. But the reason I don't word it like that is because it's not always just about stretching your feet. And I like to give dancers and teachers a different perspective. You've probably been told as a student, stretch your feet. You've probably been told that a million times. I would say it to students myself when I was teaching, stretch your feet, stretch your feet. Once I started adjudicating, what I meant was not stretch your feet, but use your feet better. Actually use them. Strengthen them so that they're useful and neaten them so it looks better on stage. So the exercises I'm going to give you today are exercises that you will definitely have done before as a dancer, no doubt about it. But I'm going to give you a different perspective when executing them. So rather than just doing it the way you've been taught, I want you to think about it in a different way. Albert Einstein said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. So if you're getting that TheraBand out every second day and doing your foot articulation exercises, but you're just not seeing an improvement, then don't be insane and keep doing it that way. You need to change something about what you're doing. And that's where Dance Geek comes in. I'm going to give you a different perspective on how to do pretty much the same exercises you have been doing in class. I'm also going to give you one of my biggest secret tips as a teacher and as a dancer, okay? And that's what I like to call stealth workout. We'll get to that one later. Welcome to my feet. For those of you who don't know me, I am obsessed with not wearing matching socks. I can't do it. It makes me feel weird. So these are a really cute pair of matching, but not matching. This is about as matching as I will ever get. All right, so foot articulation. Articulate is to separate and to clearly define the separated parts. And that's what you need to do with your feet. So the parts that we're talking about, we're going to look at the cloud sock here. The parts we're talking about, the ankle, the instep, and the toes. Okay? Think of those three parts. There are so many other parts of the foot, I get that, but they're the parts I want you to focus on today. They're the parts that we're going to articulate, okay? Now by articulating, I want you to you can also see it as isolating. I want you to be able to isolate just the toes. So your toes should be able to move without the rest of the ankle having to move as well. Now I have naturally very bad feet. They are very sunken arches, as in I don't have an arch. We used to get taught about have a little mouth hole in here, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't have one of those. So I've had to work really hard. My parents spent a lot of money taking me to podiatrists to get my feet safely working. If I can get decent feet, then anybody can. Alright, so what we're going to start off with is just isolating the ankle joint. Well, now I know I've just said we're just going to be moving the ankle part, but I don't want you to focus on the ankle. The new perspective for this is to focus on the ball of the foot, particularly the big toe. So when your foot is in the flexed position, from here I want you to think about pushing this part down to there. Push, pull it back. Push down and pull it back. So you are isolating the ankle joint, but our perspective is changing so that we're just thinking here. This is also going to help you with demi-point because this position here is your demi-point position. Okay, so you're pushing the ball of the foot downwards and you're trying to keep it, I'm going to turn my foot this way, in line with the ankle. So pushing and keeping it in line with the ankle so that it's not sickling. Okay, pushing it in line with the ankle. And that gives you a nice strong use of the ankle. That will help with articulation. Second focus is the heel. You're going to lift that all the way up, back here, almost as if you're putting a stiletto underneath it. Boop, big stiletto heel. So as the ball of the foot is going down, you're going to lift the heel up. Okay, so you've got these opposing forces, heel lifting up in towards the calf and the ball moving back. That would be my toe cramping. Right, the second part of our foot articulation is what I call a toe sit-up, basically. So it's when the toes are now isolating. We've pushed the ball of the foot down. We've pulled the heel up at the same time. We're now going to point the toes down. Lots of people call these different things. Some of my students used to call them toe waving because it's like your toes are going hello. But I call them toe sit-ups. The reason I call them that is because it makes you think of like ab crunch sit-ups. And ab crunch sit-ups are like a really hardcore gym type exercise, and I want you to think about that for the feet. They're that important. That's all you're doing. Toes up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Okay, but you're doing it without moving the ankle. Toes down, toes up. When you first do it, you might find that you've got this beautiful point, and then to do it without moving your ankle, you might only get to there. So it might just be a relax and point. That might be all it is. Okay, you can keep working on it until you are able to completely isolate the toes and they're moving. This can often be the hardest part. For most feet, no matter what your foot problem is, this can be the hardest part. There's so much happening in the toes, even though it doesn't feel like it. There really is. Okay, so first of all, we don't want to be scrunching the toes, and I'm going to do something really gross. I'm going to take my sock off. I'm so sorry. I have finger toes. My toes are incredibly long. Scrunching was never a massive issue for me because my toes are fingers, for crying out loud. And I just don't scrunch them. But if your toes are shorter, like the normal person's toes, you probably do scrunch, and we don't really want that. There are heaps of exercises for avoiding scrunching. I'm not going to get into it in this video, but if you check out the link that I'll put up here, whole playlist on feet, go check them out if scrunching is an issue for you. You want to lengthen the toes as they go down. Your perspective change for the toes is going to be what I call the pads of the toes. That's this part here. Okay? These little bits underneath. Like in the ankle isolation, when you were thinking of pushing this down, I want you to think of pushing the pads of the toes, the underneath of the toes, down. Push them down and then pull them back up. Push them down, pull them back up. This not only helps with the line of your point, it is going to help so much in point shoes and in jumps. This little extra push from the pads of the toes will rocket you up into the air. It is incredible how much a difference it makes in your Allegro if you can get that push, okay? You're going to fully stretch the foot, slowly working through your whole articulation, holding each position for 4 counts. So we're holding here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, back, 2, 3, 4. You're going to do that 4 times. Easy. You might find you're cramping a little bit in here if you're not used to it. Don't push through a cramp. Release, get rid of that cramp first, and then continue through. once you've done those 4 sets, you're going to finish here. You're gonna get yourself to this position. You're gonna do toes, 2 counts down, 1, 2, up, 2, 1, 2, up, 2. You're doing 8 sets like that. You're gonna build up your speed, okay? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2. Remember, we're not letting this release at all. Okay, just build up the speed, and by build up the speed, I mean it might take you weeks to build up to the half count. And 1, and done, okay? Just build it up as you can. Start off with 2 counts. 1, 2, 1, 2. And remember, we're pushing the pads of the toes down. Push the pads down, okay? It really helps. All right, third part is an articulated stretch. We're getting faster now, so we've done those. The start one was all about 4 counts each and slow. Now we're just doing flex and point, but articulating fully. The part that is the most important is that bit, okay? On the way back up, articulate that. Don't just let the ankle go. The ankle is not the first thing to move. All right, so from our flex position, we're both feet in now. From our flex position, we're thinking, push the ball of the foot, lift the heel at the same time, pads of the toes. Keep everything still, just lift the toes, push the heels forward. Okay. And we're trying to get that full isolation as much as you can on both feet. You can alternate if you want, okay? So really simple exercise, different perspective. Okay, so this just a normal shoe, blah, 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 blah. All right, so when you're sitting, if you're at school, at your desk, work desk, wherever, you can do your foot articulation exercises under the desk. Focus on what your teacher is saying or your boss or whatever your work is, but you can do them under your desk in your regular shoes. It gives you that extra bit of resistance. Okay, toe sit-ups in your shoes, oh my gosh, they're so hard, you'll get barely any movement. But it's like working in a point shoe, and it really helps you to strengthen those tiny bones and muscles in the toe. So think of the pads of the toes pushing against the sole of your shoe, the inside sole of your shoe. Push, push, push. It strengthens them so much. However, please do not blame me if your school shoes crack along the soles because you are constantly doing your foot articulation exercises. This may have happened to me several hundred times throughout my high school days, and my mum used to get really shirty with me because she'd have to keep buying me new school shoes because I kept cracking them. So just, yeah. But you know, on a side note, just between us dancers, if your feet are strong enough that you can break your school shoes, you've done well. But don't break your school shoes. All right, so 2 quick points. 1, make sure you do a proper warm up and cool down before doing this. Even though it's just your feet, you still want to get that cardio warm up and a nice stretchy, relaxing cool down, which is exactly what I'm going to do now. You can use, for the feet, use a tennis ball or a spiky ball can really help to ease out any of the muscles that might have been cramping or a bit tense. Mine are feeling a little bit achy at the moment because I've been working them so hard. So I'm going to get that spiky ball out. Tennis balls work just as well. Also, TheraBands. You can definitely do these exercises with TheraBands. However, on the advice of dance physiotherapist guru Lisa Howell, you need to be careful when using a TheraBand for foot articulation exercises, because if you have any sickle or any scrunch in your toes, a TheraBand is just going to reinforce that and very quickly strengthen that dangerous flaw in your feet. So what my recommendation would be is to check with your teacher first, and teachers just make sure that that tracking is nice and straight and that they're not scrunching before moving into putting that into a TheraBand, because it really, like I said, really can reinforce bad habits. I'll put a link to Lisa's article in the description bar because it's very, very helpful in when to introduce a TheraBand into a foot articulation strengthening routine. Okay, so hopefully those new perspectives on the foot articulation exercises will help you to get neater and stronger footwork in not just your connecting steps, but all the way through. As I said during the video, if you want to see how I made this stocking top and the amazing dance floor that I'm working on today, subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you can get a notification for next week's upload, because that's going to be the one on dancer DIYs. Before I finish up, I've got my shout outs for this week, and I'm going to actually read them from my smartphone today, so that I don't get them wrong like I did last week. So sorry. Okay, today's YouTube shout out goes to Lachlan Jessup. Thank you for your support on the video. Knew you'd like that one with pirouette tips. Instagram shout out goes to Jane Morton Owen. Thank you for your support on Insta, and make sure you check out next week's video because you commented on my floor progress shot that I posted on Instagram. Make sure you see what the finished product and the full process looks like. And my Facebook shout out for this week goes to Michelle Calder. I'm glad you loved the tips. That pirouette tip is a big favourite of mine. Hopefully it helps you. Okay, so again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in next week's video. Bye!